What's going on, everyone? It's Mitch from RespectMyRegion.com here with an episode of the Morning Joint. Our newsletter went out this morning at 9 a.m. with all of these stories. If you are not subscribed to our newsletter, go to our website and subscribe. Shoot us an email, info@respectmyregion.com, or just let me know and I'll opt you in. We send out a newsletter, the Morning Joint newsletter, every Monday at 9 a.m. Plenty of stories on the cannabis industry, the music industry, updates on the previous week, some of the hottest stories, and then we do a fair amount of PR and content for other clients. So whenever we kind of just organically uncover a good story through some of that work, we make sure to include it. So today I'm filling in with the usual host, Joey Bravo, who is actually on a flight right at this moment, headed up to Hall of Flowers in Toronto. I know a lot of the cannabis industry stateside is headed to Benzinga in Chicago today. I know there's a lot of travel out there yesterday and today, but some folks are headed up to T Dot out in the six, man, Toronto. Joey is one of them. So if you plan on being a Hall of Flowers, make sure to tap in with Joey Bravo on LinkedIn or shoot me a DM, shoot us a DM, email. We'll make sure we connect up while you guys can link while out there in the Canadian market, checking things out. So today on the Morning Joint, we're going to go through a couple of the top stories through our platform and others on music and cannabis. This week, first up, Cookies Miami. Cookies Cannabis entered the Florida market with the opening of their Miami store. In its first week of opening, it appeared to outsell the rest of the dispensaries by flower count with, what was it? 580 ounces in the first week of flower sold. So for those of you who are not from Florida or not familiar with the Florida market, I know we have a weird audience where some people are in the echo chamber of the cannabis industry, super educated. Some people are just music fans or live on the West Coast and are cannabis fans and not as hip to other markets. Florida is a vertically integrated market, meaning in a sense, it's only vertically integrated. So everything that a dispensary sells, it must grow and manufacture. So they must grow all the weed. They must grow all the weed to use in the distillate, to put in the edibles, the cartridges, concentrates, whatever. So, cookies, a lot of these cookies retail launches are done by TRP Co. So we talked to the president and co-founder of TRP, Daniel Fertel, and he said the way Florida is set up with the first vertical program, has no wholesale market. So you really need to have everything dialed in, especially when trying to deliver premium products in time for a store opening of this magnitude. It takes a long time to do all the construction, cultivation, manufacturing. We're happy about everything, how we turned out. So cannabis, just the way the plant runs, you have to put plants in the ground, wait 4 months. And if at any point in that process, it's not going the way you want, or you don't like the end product, you have to start it all over. You can't speed this stuff up. So cookies, the brand, the level that their brand is going to command, obviously it takes quite a bit for them to open up a store and stock it full of enough products to meet demand, and make sure those products meet the quality level. And like everything in cannabis, wine, or anything like that, that's an annual or on a growing cycle, you get things more dialed in as you go. So whatever cookies offered now, it could really, it could go one way or the other, to be completely honest. But I think with that brand, I think we can only probably expect it to go up in quality, just getting their stuff dialed in. So, Cookies Miami opens in Florida. Jungle Boys is now open 2 stores out there, and these stores are doing really well. There's True Leaf is one of the biggest brands in Florida. They have 120 retail location or dispensary locations. So obviously a mega brand in the state. And most of the other ones, like Move has 56, I believe. Curaleaf has 51. Fluent's got 27. So there's a lot of big people out there, but these Cali brands like Jungle Boys with only 2 locations, Cookies with 1, they are going to have more, but they're clearly commanding a lot of sales at the flower level in these markets. So, when a brand comes out there that is known for quality and has hype behind it, it seems to do well. I know Florida is one of those markets where a lot of the patients are on Reddit. If you search Florida cannabis and strange, you'll see a lot of conversations on Reddit. A lot of smokers. A lot of the conversation is people are unhappy with the level of quality that's flowers out there. So they're definitely excited to try things that have that hype that are coming from the Mecca that is California. And if the product even comes close or exceeds that hype, then it really starts to further build that hype. And so a lot of these big MSOs, I look at things like the music industry. A big MSO is is a major record label. They have systems, they have processes, they have team, they have financial backing, they have all these tools and systems and processes to, um, launch something or help propel something from what it is to another level. But one of the things that a record label cannot create, a record label does not have the creativity to create the artist, right? A record label has to find an artist, find a brand, and build from on top of that, and take that and bring it to the next level. They have the systems, the processes, the funding, but they don't necessarily have that creative spark that like the talent the artist brings. I look at the cannabis industry very similar. These large scale MSOs have the business, the SOPs, process, everything dialed in, but they might not always have that creative spark that that some of these more grassroots or independent brands like Jungle Boys or Cookies, or even the smaller, even the much smaller mom and pops that can bring to the game through the innovation and the hype that they can create around their products. You can't necessarily manufacture that in a laboratory. It is manufactured, if you will, but it can't be manufactured in a laboratory by MBAs. It kind of just has to organically happen. So I think that's what we're seeing. Some of these groups that can organically harvest lightning in a bottle or have created lightning in a bottle are unleashing that in other markets, while we're seeing these big players with systems and processes really attempting that, but not necessarily getting that on a singular level. Not saying they can't build big, impressive, scalable businesses or profitable businesses, but we're not seeing that same level of hype and innovation out of those companies that we are from these smaller ones. And I just saw a comment. So we'll say, what are the top flower brands in Washington rec market? Big fan of the channel. Super appreciate that. Mr. Steal Your Girl, please don't steal mine. Lockdown. No, some of the top brands, in my opinion, in Washington. Well, I got one right in front of me, man. So House of Cultivar is their Grand Cru line. I would definitely recommend them in Washington. Tranquil Forest, which I will get into a strain review in a second. Scored is another brand out here that's crushing it. Treehawk. Treehawk Farms is another one that's really good. SubX is pretty solid. I haven't had theirs for a while, but they're pretty good. Who else is crushing it out here? Actually, I was just talking about Cookies. Cookies in Washington is doing pretty good. House of Cultivar, who I showed off first, they're doing some breeding for some unique strains for cookies you can only get in Washington. Great quality. So a lot of the cookies in Washington actually is good. It's grown by a really good grower. I'm not a big rosin person, but Fugu Farms out of Washington is absolutely crushing it. They do some great work, and I'm trying to think of who else. Gold Leaf Gardens, another one in Washington. If you need some more, shoot me a DM or shoot us a message. I'll put you on to some brands and some good stores to go to find those brands, and you can trust them on their bud tending abilities. But on that note, on to one of the next topics. We did a strain review on the Scotti Piffen strain from Tranquil Forest. I love that name, Piffen. As a hip hop fan, as an East Coast fan, Piff was a word for weed that originated in New York, I believe, through Shice Bubs. They're all like the Smokers Club, Smoke Dizza in that camp. It was the first time I started seeing Piff, them and the Dipset crew. And then I used to do a lot of music work out in Pittsburgh, and they used to call it Piffsburg. So anyways, Piff is a word I like. It's an East Coast word. I'm not used to hearing it on the West Coast, but and I'm not used to hearing it, honestly, in this decade. It's a little bit older of a word. But Tranquil Forest, one of my favorite cultivation brands out here in Washington State, came out with this strain called Scotti Piffen, which is super dope. And it's built off, Scotti Piffen was number 33. So Scotti Piffen is Gelato 33 times Biscotti. So we're taking two popular gassy strains and merging them together. I think I'm out. I had some. I think I just smoked it. Otherwise, I'd show it. But anyways, we did a review. I'm the one who did the review. But Scotti Piffen, it's something unique you can get in Washington. Tranquil Forest, everything that they're doing. Oh, yeah, you already know Tranquil Forest on point with their flavors. And Tranquil Forest is a lot of what they put out, they breed in-house. So most of the strains that you see are stuff that they bred, and now they're getting to the point where a lot of the strains they breed are the combination of two different strains that they've bred. So they're taking different things they've created and making new stuff. Obviously, the Scotti Piffen, Gelato 33, and Biscotti, they didn't create Biscotti or Gelato 33, but they do have, I'm not sure if they still have it, but for a while they had the best cut of Gelato 33 in Washington State, in my opinion, and many bud tenders that I also really respect. Gelato 33, great strain, a little played out at this point, still a classic, really kind of started on a commercialized level. There's runts and and opening up the lane for Gelato 41 to really be eaten this year. But Gelato 33 is a hot strain. So, anyways, Tranquil Forest had a really good cut. They crossed that by Biscotti, Piffen, Chef's Kiss, beautiful strain, especially if you like gas. Next topic, man. We're moving on to Boston Cannabis Week. I'll be out there next week, I guess. Yeah, it is the 19th through the 25th. So shout out Pittsburgh, from Pittsburgh. Yep, man. Shout out Pittsburgh. I don't know how tuned with the music scene out there. My guys, Franchise and Vinny Radio, the Come Up Boys out of the Most Dope family. Man, B White and the 58s. Those are all the homies. Primavera Vills, man. Ghosty, man. Yeah, RIP Mayo. Pittsburgh. I got a lot of good people out there, man. Love the Steel City. I got to get back out there, man. Y'all got to get wrecked. Yeah, I'll definitely make sure to stop by your rosin area, man. I haven't been out there since cannabis is only rec. It doesn't really fit my model, but again, I still got some good friends in the legacy market and a lot of hip hop heads out there. A lot of love for the city, man. What is that? Permane Brothers, man. You guys go crazy with those sandwiches with the French fries and the coleslaw on them. Yeah, that's a vibe. I'll be making that at home sometimes. Anyways, on to it. So I'll be on the East Coast, not quite Pittsburgh, but Boston for Boston Cannabis Week. It's running September 19th through the 25th. I know myself and RMR will be out there from the 20th to the 25th. We're going to spend a couple days in Western Mass checking out some cultivation and dispensaries, rounding out the end of the week at Boston Cannabis Week. I will be at the Industry Mix networking night with Joey will be there as well on Thursday night, and then we'll be at the Underground, the Underground Ink Block. I can't remember if I said that correctly. Venue. I got to look real quick. What is it called? Underground Ink Block. I said it right. Yeah, I was doubting myself. Why was I doing that? On Friday and Saturday night. So really looking forward to catching up with everyone. We're touring a lot of facilities. We would love to meet up with anyone. If there's brands that in the Massachusetts market or products that we need to check out, please let us know in the comments, DMs, Bat Signal, Carrier Pigeon. I want to know what the fire is and or the most popular stuff, and want to try it. We want to review it. We're stopping at a bunch of dispensaries. What dispensaries should we stop at? We are driving around the whole state, not just Boston. So let us know. We're touring a bunch of cultivation facilities, but if there's some other ones out there we should check out, would love to know. Boston Cannabis Week. I went out there last year. They had Freddie Gibbs, Mick Jenkins, Terminology. Man, a super fire lineup. DJ Large Child from Weed Math. Shout out my guy Jared, man. This year they've stepped it up, man. They're bringing Common with a band, Currency with a band, Rock Marciano and the Alchemist. Like, what? I'm a hip hop fan, so like Common obviously solidified. You know what I mean? That's one of the most decorated, MCs from the hip hop culture of all time. So I don't think I've ever seen Common live. So I'm excited to see Common, and he's gonna be with a band. Currency, I've seen a couple times with a band and by himself. Super dope vibe, especially for the stoners. Super respect his hustle as well. And then Rock Marciano, man, not a ton of people are on Rock Marcy, but man, he's a whole vibe. And the Alchemist, growing up in the era I grew up, being into production and samples, Alchemist is like, literally a dude that I looked up to, especially as a kid, like that's was like a childhood hero of mine. So seeing him with Rock Marciano, super dope. I'm not, even though I do a lot of music stuff, promote a lot of music stuff, throw a lot of music events, I don't actually physically go to a lot of live music. I got back issues. Standing on cement for hours it's honestly more painful than enjoyable for me. And it just kind of always has been, which is ironic considering how involved I am with music. But I'm just not that big live person. But going to an event like this for the networking, for the cannabis industry, I do a lot of that. So it's always a big plus when I can do that. And it's matched up with like artists, not just artists I like, but artists I listen to on a daily basis, or, like when it comes to like a Common or Alchemist, like been listening to my whole life. So super excited, shout out to Lisa and Scott over there, Boston Cannabis Week. They have come from booking hip hop, and, this is only my second time going, but wow, they book incredible talent and they throw really dope events. I'm flying out from Seattle. I don't even get paid. I'm flying out there just to go to Boston Cannabis Week. So that's how much I prioritize it. So anyways, if you're out there, would love to check in with you. Check out what you got going on. I see another comment on there. What's the opinion on Fire Bros? Fire Bros is good out in Washington. Definitely, a lot of respect for Fire Bros. They've been around and respected since the medical days. They grow some good weed. I honestly just haven't personally smoked any of their stuff in maybe only once, honestly, in 2022, and I can't remember. It might have been that Crepe Apes, the one they did with the Bored Ape graphic on there. It was some fire. They definitely do some fire. I mean, they're fire bros. They call themselves for a reason. You know, I'd love to see those guys get a little bit more merch, a little bit more marketing. That's one of the things in Washington. A lot of the farms, like even a Tranquil Forest, that's super dope. And Tranquil does a lot of music stuff and merch and stuff, but like they don't even have a website. And they don't. And I know the Tranquil guys, they're just not. They're super low key and not like trying to be something they're not. They're just low key individuals being themselves. But they're not going out there like a Cookies where it's like, let me get a clothing brand, let me get a clothing store, let me get an online e-commerce, let me start running ads and like really looking at this like a multifaceted brand. They're like more on like, yo, we're just like, if you know, you know, and that's part of what makes it tight. And I got a lot of respect for them, but it's one of the things of Washington is we see a little bit more like, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but a little bit more like smaller tunnel vision craft mindset as opposed to some of these other markets where it's much more grandiose and you know, whether you want to call it corporate or scalable, whatever buzzword you want to use. Up here in the Pacific Northwest, we're a little bit more like, yo, we like to just stick to our own and do our own shit. But anyways, shout out Fire Bros. I like them. I personally would love to see them do a little bit more outside of that, build on that. I think they have a great name, great brand, but they do great weed. So next up, one of the episodes, so we're running multiple podcast shows every week right now. For the North American Weed Tour, which is a campaign where we're looking at the best in legal cannabis across the map. One of those is our Grow and Tell podcast with Erin. She did an episode last week with Chad Salut from Maven Genetics, awesome cultivator, awesome brand. That was a really dope episode. So that's in the details. Definitely check that out, and then check out Erin's show, Grow and Tell in general. Next up, MJ Unpacked is coming to Las Vegas here towards the end of the month. RMR will be out there. We're a media partner on the event, and we'll have a booth at the event. So anyone that's going to be at Vegas, you know, if you're going to be at Unpacked, definitely you'll see our booth. Stop by, holler at us. If you work with a PR company or a marketing person, any of these companies, I'm looking to interview some people on the floor. If you've caught those interviews before, if you haven't, reach out to me. I'll shoot you some examples. Little 3-question, like 4 to 5 minute interviews on the floor. Looking to do quite a bit of those with just people that have great brands, great stories, and people that are really building market share and building great things. I'm looking to talk to, the marketing people, the founders and the CEOs behind those companies on the floor. So yeah, please reach out to me. And then if you don't have MJ Unpacked on your radar, I'd look into that, man. We've been to the last 2. We had a booth at the last one. Excellent. Just such a narrow, intentional focus in terms of who's there, why they're there. I always say it's such a powerful group of people being of how they curate who can attend. It's one of those things I always say, like, turn around and tap someone on the shoulder or throw a rock, and whoever you hit will be someone that's great to have a conversation with. Those are my personal favorite events to be to, rather than just like 10,000 people where it's like it's too many people. You can get lost in the sauce. MJ Impact is like literally just shake everybody's hand. I mean, you probably can't shake everybody's, but shake anybody's hand you can, and they're probably a great person to talk to. So if MJ Unpacked's not on your radar, put that on your radar. If it is on your radar and you'll be out there, tap in with us. We'll be on the floor, and it'll be a good place to network with cannabis professionals from across the map. Moving on to music, man. Jadakiss, Cameron, and Mace announced the 3-Headed Monster tour. They only got 7 or 8 dates right now. I'm sure they'll add a little bit more, judging by the cost to book those guys and their current demand. I don't know if we'll see them in my home area of Seattle, which is sad. But I might have to travel to the East Coast for that. I think it's dope. For those that don't know, before anyone knew who Cameron was, and before anyone knew who Mace was, when he was Murder Mace, before Diddy signed him and really took him off, Big L, Cameron, and Murder Mace were in a group called Children of the Corn. 3 up-and-coming dudes from Harlem, 3 of the most iconic, legendary MCs of all time. As kids, they were in a group, Children of the Corn. So now, obviously, Big L has passed on, and they're adding, and Big L's, known as one of the greatest lyricists in hip-hop of all time. Clearly, Jadakiss, top 5 dead or alive, self-proclaimed, and holds that title for many people. One of the most respected lyricists in the game, is now joining Cameron and Mace. So I think it's dope to see Children of the Corn without Big L, adding in Jadakiss, 3-Headed Monster tour. That's super dope. I love all these guys' catalogs. I don't know if I'll be able to catch them on the East Coast. Let me see. When are they? Oh, in Philly. Oh no. Damn. All right. Yeah. See, I'm probably not going to be able to make any of these, but I'm super sad about that. If you're around, they're playing Fort Lauderdale. Where's that? Augusta, Georgia, Norfolk, VA, Pittsburgh, Elmont, Philadelphia, Bridgeport, Connecticut. So yeah, that'll be a dope tour. And further on in music, Meek Mill releases Early Mornings music video, his first release since away from Rock Nation. He claimed that he's going to put out a shit ton of music now that he's out of his deal. We'll see what's good with that. I really like the new music video, Early Mornings. The link's in the description. It's got a Cheech and Chong little excerpt, little clip at the start of it. But Meek Mill always does a great job with just curating good motivational stuff I like listening to. And then he also, it's the 10-year anniversary of his debut album, and he was saying something, I don't know the exact specifics, but he's saying he'll perform at your wedding and your wedding for free if you use one of his songs. I don't know, something in the month of October, but I thought that was pretty funny. I don't know, Meek Mill's not necessarily a wedding singer artist to me, but hey man, I'll have Meek come shout over the record, if I ever get remarry my wife. Yeah, because I'm not marrying no one else. Anyways, last item of news. We put out an article for West Coast R&B albums you don't want to miss from 2022. One of our younger artists, younger writers, Nicholas Clay, has been writing some R&B content for us. Man, as I'm getting older, I'm staying a little bit out the loop, but I really, honestly, I got to put respect to the youngin', man. He put me onto some fire on this list. If you're into R&B, first album, August 08, Seasick. Next album, Fabo, Before I Let Her Go. Next album, Fauna Hughes, Flora plus Fauna. And then the last, Brandon Banks, Natural Progressions. Honestly, skimmed through all these when I saw him putting together this list, and they were all fire, man. I really liked him. Shout out Nick for putting together this list. If you guys are looking for some good, up and coming West Coast R&B you might not know, check out that article on our site. And then someone tapped in DDM, Cannabis, Blackstone, Massachusetts. I'm about to write that down. DDM, Cannabis, Blackstone, Mass. I'm gonna check that out. Google it and see if that's on my. I'm sure I'm driving around the whole state. I'm sure I'm gonna see it somewhere or on my travel itinerary. So I'll take a look at that. Appreciate the recommendation. Again, if anyone's out there in Massachusetts coming up at Boston Cannabis Week, or just in the Massachusetts market, or you'll be in Vegas for MJ Unpacked, or you're just in the Vegas market, please tap in. We'll also be at Holla Flowers. Like I said, Joey's on his way to Toronto right now for Holla Flowers Toronto. We'll both be at Holla Flowers Santa Rosa here at the start of next month, and then I'll be in LA for a week at some point this month as well. So would love to take meetings, tap in with anyone, link up in real life if we only know each other online. Appreciate you guys tapping in with us and watching the Morning Joint. We'll be back with